Hi, folks. This is Red We Met, and today is Sunday, August 27th, 2023. And I had this on live for a chat. I didn't really have to. If you people show up, that's another story. But when I lived in Palm Beach, before I moved here, I had a farm. It was a horse farm. And obviously it wasn't in Palm Beach, it was in the county. And what we had was an area where the animals could go, but you couldn't build any houses because of the high tension wires. And if you want a good idea what they looked like, I'll show you right here. These are what the power lines looked like. So you really couldn't live underneath them or build a house or a barn or anything underneath them. So you had lots of grazing area where the animals could go out there. You could ride horses underneath them. They weren't dangerous. But that's the way it was. Now, during this period of time, in the wee hours of the morning, planes would fly very, very low, below the 500-foot ceiling. And that would keep them off the radar. And I was wondering why I hear the planes at night, like 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, wee hours of the morning. Everybody's asleep. But everybody wasn't asleep. Because as the planes were flying, they were using the power lines as a guide to guide them at night. The small planes were. And they were dumping cocaine. I don't mean powder. I mean bales of cocaine. They were dumping bales of cocaine. I'll give you an idea what they looked like, I think. No, I don't have it up here. But there were bales of cocaine that they were dropping. And bales were ranging from 50 pounds, about a 50-pound bale. At a low level, they'd roll a little bit. And all of a sudden, you see a bunch of people going out in pickup trucks with their lights on. And they'd pick these things up and disappear. They'd scatter in all different directions. And you could see the whole line as you look down where the power lines were. You could see what they were doing. And that was a problem. And it was one of the problems that brought me to somebody else in my life. He was our local county commissioner. And an interesting character. But he knew most of these people that were going and picking it up. He knew the people. I knew he knew the people. Everybody knew it. It was no secret. It was no secret either that he was a heavy user of cocaine. He was arrested for it. And hey, how you doing, Scott? I don't know if it happens now. I'm just talking about in the 90s. Okay, Scott, I don't know what's going on right now, but they didn't. These people didn't find it. The people were waiting for it when it was dropped. Now, somebody may have dumped a load or something like that, and people found things, but these weren't being dumped because the plane was being spotted. They were getting away with it. It was a regular routine. I didn't know the days that it was going to happen, but when it did happen, I watched the people scatter out there, and I chased a few people off my property. I said, "What are you doing here? It's private property." Well, everybody had guns, and everybody was backed up by a county commissioner. And that county commissioner was Tony Mazzalotti. That's a picture of Tony. He's pleading guilty there. Not on cocaine charges. Not on cocaine charges at all. Tony was arrested for, I helped start an investigation on him. And he was arrested for racketeering, bleeding the public, taking public funds, and conspiracy, all different kinds of things. But he worked out a real good deal. The deal he worked out was he would plead guilty to dishonest fraud. Now, mind you, they had facts in front of him. He took $27 million in kickbacks. That's what they caught him with. So they took everything he had. As a matter of fact, when they arrested him, it was a real joke. They went to his house, and it was like a 6 a.m. arrest in the morning. And they found $1 million underneath the bed in the bedroom. He had 2 girls, young girls at the time. And what he told the press that it was money that his wife inherited. And some people started nosing around and looking, and they found out that that wasn't a fact. I mean, his wife didn't have anybody that passed away. It was very, very odd. So she left him, and then she had signed his income tax returns with him. So she was out of it. She quit. So they let him plead to dishonest fraud. Now, pleading to a dishonest fraud to the public is not very outlined and definite. So when Tony gets out of prison 4 years later, he had to do 4 years. When he gets out of prison, he files appeal. He wanted his money and seizure. He wanted his homes, anything that he had, that he wanted it back. But when you plead guilty, you can't get it back. You've pled guilty. You've signed an agreement that says, I will not do any appeals. I will not do this. I will not do that. But he's still trying even today, 2023, and he's still fighting, trying to get it back. Never will. But the cocaine, there were several other people. There was a man that had a private plane that was kind of his partner in crime and many different things. Never arrested. Alleged partner in crime. His name was Bill, and he used to land his plane on a dirt road not far from me. And he'd even take pictures of himself next to the plane. And it was bold. So shortly after this, I'd say maybe 5-6 years, they were going around in Miami, and they were talking about cocaine cowboys. And they made the movie. But they never incorporated Palm Beach County. They stayed in Fort Lauderdale. They stayed in Miami. They just never got to it. And that's because of the corrupt politicians that were there. You're exactly right. Dishonest fraud. It sounds like our politicians. There's one of them today that it's a lot more than 27 million. Draw your own conclusions on that, folks. But that's what the news says, and other people. Is that what you believe? This country's has gone, and the only way is a full-blown revolution. Well, maybe. That may be the only way to fix it. I don't think so. There may be other problems, other ways. But Scott H., I got a kick out of you here. Pepper, there's a problem. Some dangerous hombres might be looking for their property. If you tried to sell it, we'll get back to them, and they'll come looking for you. I don't think that's his problem, because the government sold his home. They sold everything while he was in prison. And he wasn't a dangerous hombre. He was dangerous with his tongue. He was a county commissioner. And he did land deals where they would mitigate, and he would get X amount of dollars from the mitigation because he decided that GNL Homes and the Black Diamond Ranch and some other places there, uh, they would mitigate with him. uh, no worries. I just wouldn't blame Hunter. Uh, Probably not. It might be the tip of the iceberg. You don't know. There's a lot that may be hidden. Pepper Jet XL. Um, but this is the way it was. And the cocaine from the sky, I never thought they could get that big of bundles and dropped them. And on my land, that was something else. Trace, hello, Mr. We Met. I just watched news clips of Sammy the Bull Gravano on Fox News, and he was asked about the Biden family and political. Did you see that clip? No, I did not, Trace. I did not see it. But I'm sure I can. I can watch it after this. I decided I'd do a couple lives today. I was going to record them and drop them. And then I said, why? I'll just do them live. I have another one that I'm going to do too later on. But that was the way it went. So, did I ever see any of the powder? No. But there were some of my neighbors that were arrested, and they all got 10 years. Every one of them, 10, 15, 20 years. One guy, I remember, he got 20 years in prison. And after he got out of prison, he didn't talk to nobody. He moved into the Everglades and just disappeared. One of my neighbors, he did 10 years, and I talked to him, and we got along real well, even though he knew I was affiliated with the government, with government agencies. As a matter of fact, other people in my neighborhood he was standoffish about a lot of people, but other people in my neighborhood used to look at it and say, why does he invite you into his home? Why does he sit and have beers with you in the garage? Why does he like you around? And it's because I could talk his language. That's all. And he was very open with me. He said, I did my time. They can't make me do anything else. And he told me about all his problems. Scott H., do you think they accident? No, it wasn't any accident. It was a lot of land. The power lines ran along there. So it wasn't any accident. They dropped it there because they knew that people knew where the power lines were. So you could take streets to go in there and get it. That's the way it was. It wasn't any accident. Matter of fact, I was screaming about it. I was talking to people. You couldn't call the police about it. They wouldn't do anything. Nobody would. And I certainly didn't want to talk to DEA. So I talked to the FBI and I talked to IRS and some other people. That's how I got it taken care of. Little did they know that I had connections from my Chicago days. There's too much money in drugs. It's not going anywhere, legal or illegal. Drugs will get worse. Well, I don't know if they will or not. That's your prediction. And yes, Barry Seal did do it for years. And I was very disappointed in what happened to Barry Seal. He worked very closely with the CIA. He worked very closely with the FBI. He worked very closely with the IRS. He worked very closely with the DEA. And what did he get? He got a lot of bullets because one judge took it on his own mind to kill him. Now, did that judge do it? Or was he influenced by one of the other agencies? I don't know. I really don't. But anyway, that's my story, folks, about cocaine falling from the sky over my farm. And I want to thank all of you for watching. Hit the like button if you liked it. If you didn't, Okay, I understand. Anyway, have a great Sunday. Enjoy the weekend, and God bless you.